a different story. This is only but this model does explain, I think, very well. That's why the stock price dropped after the dividend is paid. So usually, for example, if a company pays a special dividend of $5, usually after that, the stock price will drop by about $5. So think about it from a standpoint of value. So for example, if you know that the company is paying dividend forever, and then for example, you pay $5 forever. Standing at this point, before this payment, like right at this point, before the company pays out this $5, the value of the stock will be 5 plus this 5 divided by whatever discount rate will be. But right after it pays this $5, but still standing like relative or roughly a whole year away from the next $5 payment, this 5 will be taken away from the company's value. Because it's already paid. It's not involved in your stock price. And that's why we $5 less. Do you guys understand?
So that means we have one. In theory, we have one less year. Okay. How do you guys think about it?
Well, suppose that you're standing at this point. So this $5 will not be discounted because it's right now. It's not any period away. But you're like maybe you're 1 day from this payment. So this $5 will still have to be included, except that it's not discounted. But right after this $5 is paid to the shareholder, it should not be included in the stock price anymore because it's already gone to people's hands. So this $5 will have to be taken away from the stock price. And that's why it starts from here. That's why it's $5.
Is it a good idea to buy stock right after the dividend thing?
I mean, a lot of times, dividend is such a small amount that the price change will be very subtle. And also, you can use the idea of PV in the value of a company. So DCF, the thing we always talk about in WUSIF, is discounted cash flow. So the first thing you do is calculate the company's free cash flow, and then you get the data from the financial statements of the company. This is a complicated accounting process. I'm not going to go into detail here. But after you get the company's cash flow, you somehow predict the cash flows from the future. And using the same thing that we did just now, we can calculate. We can discount all the cash flow and find the present value of the company. So now we know the method. Another thing is how to determine what discount rate to use. A lot of the times, mastering the art of discount rate is more important than simply knowing which formula to plug in, because finance is all about making assumptions. And a lot of times, what discount rate you use is an assumption you made that would properly test your finance skill or finance knowledge. But the basic line is that return correlates closely with risk, so higher risk means higher return. And when we think of discount rate, we are really thinking about the opportunity cost of capital, which means the return rate that you would have received by investing in another project of the same level of risk. And how do we understand that? Know that your money is limited. You can't invest in every single asset in the world, but if you are always trying to invest in something that will give you the highest value or highest return, even the same amount of risk. So if you invest in project A, it means you can't invest in project B. So if you are trying to find the asset of the highest yield, you have to make sure that the return of project A would have to match at least the return of the next best investment project. Does that make sense? It's all about opportunity cost. So for example, you have two good projects. You have to find the project of the highest return. And you have to invest, so you have to make sure that if you invest in project A, you have to make sure that the return of project A should be at least as high as the return of project B.
What if project A has a higher risk?
Oh, assuming that both projects have the same risk. So a thing to remember here is that when you're trying to determine which discount rate to use, always match the level of risk. If the risk is the same, the discount rate should be the same. So for fixed income investments, the discount rate is the interest rate, and that's very easy to understand because you literally grow money on the interest rate. So how do we find it? For treasuries, you can easily find it on Yahoo Finance or like all kinds of finance sites. So for example, if you go to Yahoo Finance and you go to investing and you go to bonds, it gives you all the rates of different maturities. And keep in mind that different government debt has different maturities, and you can mess up the rate for a different maturity. So if it's 3 months, it will be it will be 0.1% or 0.11%. If it's 30 years, it's 4.5%. You can't use 0.1 for a 30-year bond because they are not of the same risk.
So how often does the government issue bonds?
Pretty often, I mean, it's like,
Every couple of weeks.
and there's always different kinds of bonds with different coupons, different maturities out there. So pay attention to different maturities because you always have to match up. The treasuries are U.S. treasuries are considered risk-free rates, meaning that it's considered the least risky investment in the U.S. But it's not really risk-free because there's not an absolute term. The U.S. government could default. It's just there is this probability, even though it's very small. But we still consider a risk-free rate as a benchmark. So if you have another investment asset, you compare the return of that asset to treasury debt of the same maturity to estimate that asset's risk. For government bonds, how you find out its interest rate or discount rate is more difficult because it's not published online. Alright, it is, but it's just more difficult to find. But one way you can do it is to find out the company's credit rating first. So there are 3 big credit rating agencies in the U.S. There's Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody's. They are in charge of estimating each company's risk and assigning them a credit value. The rating pretty much estimate the likelihood of the company defaulting. So, and then you can find the rating on Wall Street Journal. There's a page on bond. And here are the credit rating of different companies. So the 3 rating agencies has pretty similar rating standard. This will be considered the safest company to buy bonds from. So it's either AA3 or AAA. And then you have AAA. AAA plus will be even safer. Or if that's the case. But generally things in the A range are considered the safest.